Look at a modern dog. A pug in a little knitted sweater, struggling to breathe. A golden retriever desperately chasing a tennis ball. A chihuahua shaking nervously inside a designer handbag. We look at these creatures, and we tell ourselves a very comforting, very arrogant lie. We tell ourselves that we are best friends with nature. We call them man's best friend. We think of this relationship as a beautiful, peaceful Disney movie where humans and animals came together in harmony. But evolution doesn't care about friendship. Evolution doesn't do harmony. Evolution only understands one language: survival, exploitation, and absolute dominance. The truth about how you got that cute dog sleeping at the foot of your bed is not a story of friendship. It is a story of biological hacking. It is the story of how a weak, hairless ape managed to genetically brainwash an apex predator, turning it into a biological weapon to conquer the planet and eradicate a rival human species. To understand this dark psychological heist, we have to travel back about 40,000 years. Welcome to Pleistocene Europe. The Ice Age. You are a Homo sapiens. You are cold, you are relatively slow, and you have terrible night vision. You are not at the top of the food chain. You are sharing this freezing, brutal landscape with cave lions, giant short-faced bears, and saber-toothed cats. And more importantly, you are sharing it with another highly intelligent, incredibly muscular human species, the Neanderthals. Every single day is an agonizing struggle to simply not be eaten. But out there in the freezing dark, there was another predator, the gray wolf. Wolves were the perfect killing machines of the Ice Age. They were fast, they had bone-crushing jaw power, and their sense of smell was 100,000 times stronger than yours. But their most terrifying weapon was their mind. Wolves, just like humans, were highly social pack hunters. They had complex hierarchies, they communicated, and they strategized. For thousands of years, humans and wolves were bitter enemies. We stole their kills, they stole our children. We looked at them from across the firelight and saw monsters. So, how did the monster become the pet? It started with a glitch in the wolf's survival protocol. In the brutal winters, hunting was dangerous and exhausting. Some wolves realized that human camps left behind garbage, bones, rotting meat, scraps. A few of these wolves, the ones born with slightly less adrenaline and a little less fear, started hanging around the edges of human camps in the dark. Now, the normal human reaction would be to kill them. But our ancestors were smart, dangerously smart. They noticed something about these scavenging wolves. When a massive predator like a cave lion was approaching the camp in the dead of night, the humans couldn't see it or hear it. But the wolves could. The wolves would growl, bark, and panic, inadvertently acting as a biological alarm system for the human camp. Suddenly, a light bulb went off in the human brain. What if we didn't kill them? What if we used them? This is where the psychological manipulation began. Our ancestors started throwing scraps of meat to the least aggressive wolves. We began raising their pups. And as we brought them into our caves, we discovered the ultimate biological vulnerability of the wolf, their pack mentality. Wolves are genetically hardwired to submit to an alpha. They need a leader. So, humans simply stepped into the power vacuum. We hacked their social hierarchy. We became the alpha. We didn't just tame them. We hijacked their entire psychological operating system. Once we had control of their minds, the ultimate biological alliance was formed. And it was devastating. Imagine you are a prey animal in the Ice Age. For millions of years, you could outrun a human, or you could hide from a wolf. But now, the humans and the wolves had merged. The wolves had the speed, the hearing, and the scent tracking to find and corner the prey. The humans had the sweat glands for endless marathon running, and the projectile weapons, spears and arrows, to kill it safely from a distance. It was an apocalyptic combination. Humans and wolves became an unstoppable hunting machine. We didn't just survive the Ice Age, we dominated it. But this alliance has a much darker chapter. Have you ever wondered why we are the only human species left on Earth? What happened to the Neanderthals? For decades, anthropologists assumed we just outsmarted them or out-reproduced them. But prominent evolutionary biologists, like Pat Shipman, propose a far more chilling theory. Neanderthals were physically stronger than us. They had bigger brains. They survived in Europe for hundreds of thousands of years before we even arrived. But Neanderthals never domesticated wolves. When Homo sapiens marched into Europe accompanied by packs of half-wild, human-commanded wolf dogs, the balance of power violently shifted. We could hunt faster, we could track better, and our camps were fiercely protected at night by a perimeter of barking biological alarms. The Neanderthals couldn't compete. We didn't just out-hunt them. With our wolf biological weapons by our side, we slowly, methodically starved them into extinction. The wolf was the technological edge that gave us the entire planet. But human ambition didn't stop there. Once we conquered the world, we didn't need the fierce, massive gray wolf anymore. So, we started the second phase of our psychological heist, genetic brainwashing. We engaged in thousands of years of selective breeding. We deliberately chose the wolves that were the most docile, the most submissive, and the most dependent on us. We engineered a biological concept called Neoteny. Neoteny means retaining juvenile, baby-like features into adulthood. We took a terrifying apex predator and selectively bred it until its snout shrank, its skull became rounder, its jaws became weaker, and its ears became soft and floppy. We physically trapped them in a permanent state of infancy. Why? Because big round eyes and floppy features perfectly mimic the appearance of a human baby. We genetically engineered the wolf to trigger the release of oxytocin, the love hormone, in our own human brains. We biologically tricked ourselves into loving our weapon, and we biologically tricked the weapon into literally needing us to survive. A wolf in the wild is an independent, majestic killing machine. A modern dog has been so thoroughly genetically modified that if you look it in the eyes, its brain actually releases chemicals making it feel love for its human captor. We gave them severe separation anxiety. We made them crave our approval. We didn't just change their bodies, we fundamentally broke their minds. We turned the kings of the forest into creatures that wear tiny raincoats and panic when the doorbell rings. So the next time you sit on your couch, sipping your coffee, and you look down at your cute, sleeping dog, take a moment to really look at it. You are not looking at a best friend. You are looking at a living, breathing monument to human dominance. You are looking at the descendant of a prehistoric apex predator that our ancestors psychologically hacked, genetically dismantled, and weaponized to wipe out our rivals and conquer the earth. They used to howl at the moon. Now, they whine for a piece of your sandwich. And honestly, that is the most terrifying flex in human history.